Hello, my name is Aaron. I want to talk about using bass for live looping, my opinions on it, and how I approach it. I understand everyone's going to have opinions, some very strong opinions about this, but I'm very relaxed on mine. But if anybody out there is just looking for some clarity in how they should approach bass or how they can approach bass, hopefully this will give you a little bit of clarity that you can make your own opinions on how you want to do it. So when it comes to putting bass into your live loops, nothing is going to sound better than using an actual bass guitar. It's just what it's built for. So I don't use an actual bass guitar for looping myself. And so the reason why I don't is, in my mind, one of the biggest courtesies I can do for the audience is get the song going as fast as possible. And I've seen loopers that, they'll walk over to congas, play congas, and they'll walk over and pick up a bass guitar, play the bass, set that down, walk over, pick up a guitar, do that. And so they're playing all these instruments, and it sounds good because everything that this artist is doing is the real thing. But that's not the way I want to go, because it can take like 2-3 minutes for the song to get up and going. And for me, that's just, I don't know. I get this thing where if something's taking too long, I just feel like I'm on stage in my pajamas and everyone's just staring at me, right? And so it just messes with my head. So I just want to get the song going as a courtesy. So I don't use this. But, if I was doing loop music professionally, like uploading to Spotify and things like that, this is what I would use, just because it would sound the best. But I'm not doing studio grade music, right? I'm doing live grade. And, live music is just a little bit different from studio, right? This is not what I use. What I use instead is an electric guitar with a pitch shifter to drop it down an octave. I think a lot of artists use this as well. It's pretty common, and this is actually my go-to when I'm starting to do a new song, or like I want to learn a new song. My go-to is to try to use this first over like a keyboard bass, and I'll explain that a little bit later as to why. But this does have a drawback. So the drawback with the regular bass is just the time it takes, switching between instruments and things like that. So the pro is you don't have to switch instruments. You just hit a switch on your pedal board to drop it an octave, do the bass, hit another switch on your pedal board, and you're back to a regular guitar sound. Just real quick and easy. Drawback is, these strings aren't as thick as a bass guitar, and so there's a drawback. So let me just play a little something here. So there's just a little bit of guitar coming through that electric guitar as opposed to a bass. So that's with me using a pick. So there's little things you can do to kind of mitigate that. Like you can switch between using a pick. You can use your fingers. So let me do that again. And so it's just a little bit more natural sounding, not using the pick. You could also lightly rest your palm on the base of the strings here. Give it a more muted sound. Now, one of the things that I dislike about using a guitar for bass is as you go up through the strings, the thinner they get, you just can't disguise you're not playing a bass at that point. It just sounds too thin. If I'm using a song that causes me to go up on higher notes, I'll switch to my plan B, which is using a keyboard for the bass sounds. And so this helps me overcome songs sometimes if they're in a particular key, like if they're in D or C, I really dislike using the guitar for the bass line, because you're getting up here and the strings are thinner, doesn't sound as good. Switch to a keyboard. The drawback with the keyboard is it doesn't have the nuance expression as playing the string. There's your finger action on the neck. You got how you're picking the string, everything, sliding the string. There's just so much expression on playing the bass on the guitar. That's why it's my go-to. I try not to use the keyboard for a normal bass sound unless I have to, because it just doesn't sound as natural or expressive. Even though the keyboard is my plan B, this opens up a whole set of solutions for you musically that an electric guitar or even a real bass guitar couldn't open up. If you're doing any type of synth or music that requires synths, or you can do just really unnatural sounding basses that you need for that song, you couldn't do on a normal guitar or without adding a whole bunch of other weird effects. As an example, here's Ain't No Sunshine, which I decided to just throw away the normal bass sound and just go with a keyboard synth, total keyboard synth. Here's another song. It's Pop Life by Prince, and it has it's a slap bass. I don't slap. So what I did was I went with the keyboard to do a slap synth, and this is how it turned out. And then finally, I do use software to do scripted looping when I play live, and that helps me transpose section. Here's Float On by Modest Mouse, and you'll see with the bass line, when I get to the quarter note, as bump, 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 I just do the F sharp, and then I'll let the program transpose it to the other notes so I can get to the other parts of the song. All right, so that's my approach to playing bass with live looping. Just to recap, nothing's going to beat an actual bass guitar, but for me, my philosophy, getting the song up and going as quick as possible, I want to use an electric guitar with a pitch shifter on it. Not use a pick, try to use my fingers when I can, when I think about it, because it gives a more natural sound. And then I keep a keyboard handy in case I want to do any type of unnatural or more synth-based stuff. So that way I have a lot of options to me, and whatever song that I'm trying to learn or trying to play, I can get to a point where I'm satisfied with the result. Anyway, so that's how I approach it. So hope you enjoyed this video.